So let's say you have solid fundamentals and really good swing mechanics. But if you're going to make this swing you've been developing perform consistently, especially as the pressure ramps up, you're going to need to get it started in a very smooth way. So right after this, let's talk about the takeaway and how it's going to make you more reliable, especially when the heat gets turned up. So today we're talking about how to develop a smooth one-piece takeaway. If you guys been watching my channel for any time at all, you know that I'm an advocate, a proponent of the Mike Austin golf swing. And that means that the beginning of the swing might be built just a little bit differently than what you might have seen before. So I strongly believe that one of the skills you'll have to develop to bring real consistency into your golf game is to have a smooth one-piece takeaway. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any time at all, you know I'm a big advocate or proponent of the Mike Austin golf swing. And so you might see that the way I build my takeaway is going to be a little different than maybe any other channel or teacher might present to you. So what I really like about developing this skill is that you can do this at home. So if you're stuck at home or you're stuck at the office and you're not able to get to the golf course very much, if at all, then you can still work on this just a couple minutes at home. So before we actually get to the part where we're pulling the club away from the ball, we've got a couple of key pieces that we need to build first, namely the waggle and the forward press. These two motions, when they're set to a tempo or a musical rhythm, are really going to help trigger the takeaway to be exceptionally smooth. This is because they keep us from standing still for longer than a second or so. See, a lot of people who don't have consistency with their games, they tend to stand over the ball and be still for much too long. Any good athlete in any sport is going to continually be in motion. Just look at any baseball hitter, basketball player. It's very rare that they come to a rest for more than a second, because then they're going to have to overcome their inertia again. So the waggle itself serves two purposes. Number one, it's going to keep you in motion. Number two, it's actually giving you a kind of a sneak preview of how you're going to be using your wrists as you come back through the ball again. So if I were to line up, get myself set, see, once I get my measurements set, I pick up the club and I waggle it. Now this wrist motion I'm making from here to here is incredibly loose, and it's actually the same wrist action that I'm going to be employing as I take the club back and as I bring it through the ball. So it gives me a little sneak preview of the movie that's to come. Next, I'm going to make a forward press. Now, in the Austin scheme of things, this involves three moving parts. Number one, once I'm set and I've waggled, I'm going to perform a lateral shift of my hips this way, and I'm going to take my right knee and I'm going to flex it towards the center at the same time. So that would look like this. The third thing I'm going to do, I've got a little bit of a dorsiflexion in this left wrist. And as I push the club shaft forward and push the grip forward in conjunction with those two other, see, I'm going to push that forward and I'm going to flatten out that wrist, and then I'm ready to go back. So those three things happen at once. Now, if you're performing these things correctly, no one that you play with will even detect what you're doing, because it is so incredibly subtle. They'll just see you taking it back smoothly and they'll think, wow, that guy has a really great rhythm to his swing. So you look how subtle this is. So again, I'm going to establish left arm measurement. I set the right side under, pick it up, waggle, and waggle, and. So it's incredibly subtle. I'm only moving my hip about 1/2 of an inch. I'm moving my knee about 1/2 of an inch. I'm moving my hand and wrist on the club about 1/2 of an inch. This is so subtle, again, it's hardly perceivable unless you're really looking for it. But what this is serving to do is continually keep me from coming to rest. Let's give it a shot here. I'm going to show you a couple examples, and I'm just going to do my normal routine and pull the trigger, and then we can take a look at it from other angles and in slow motion in a second. So I'm going to walk you through the first one here. So again, it's step in, so I'm establishing the left side, measurement, fitting the right side under, waggle, and. And it ended up being a really smooth swing and a really straight shot right on target. I mean, hitting a 6-iron, for me, a 6-iron, a smooth distance for a 6 is somewhere around 195 yards or so. So that was a really good shot. Let me do one more. This time I'll just go and I won't say anything. So I feel doing this as part of my routine and really sticking with it on every shot really is a key to me being consistent, especially if I'm playing in a tournament situation or a skins game, or maybe yourself, maybe you're just bordering on shooting your best score of all time. Maybe you got 3 or 4 holes to go and you're going to break your best score, and so the pressure is kind of self-inflicted. Maybe you're just playing your buddy for a couple bucks and you really want to beat him. That's where it becomes really critical to get these last few swings under pressure really off to a smooth start. Whatever distance you're hitting your irons, it doesn't really matter that much as long as you're able to hit it to the distance required, the distance that you're trying to hit it, that your distance control is excellent. And I think that having this smooth takeaway really helps towards that as well. You can see that it's a hell of a shot. It finished 1 inch from the target line, path of 0, face of 0, curve of 0. So, you know, again, it's like what I talked about at the beginning. You can have really good fundamentals and great swing mechanics, and I must have had them there because the shot flew so straight, but I still feel like this is the glue that holds everything together. You know, it's like you can't consistently perform any motion unless it gets started smoothly. So another important aspect of making this smooth one-piece takeaway, I think, is doing it in rhythm, with tempo. So if you are into music out there, as Mike Austin was, Mike Austin used to be able to sing opera in several different languages. It was quite astounding. So he was very sensitive to being in rhythm and in tempo. So here's how I cover that in this. I put up some other videos on tempo, on my 1, 2, 3 waltz tempo. This is how I get the waltz tempo started right here. I'm going to take you through it one more time. I'm going to be going waggle and waggle and. So I'm going to show you what happens next. As I take the club away, I'm going to detail all the little pieces. Okay, so now we've switched to the front view so we can see the individual pieces of the takeaway a little bit better. In other words, what parts of the body am I moving to get the club smoothly getting away? Now, again, because I'm following Mike Austin's way of doing things, he always believed, he had a truism, he said, the axle turns the wheel. So I'm not a believer that the hands and arms start the backswing. I'm a believer that the axle turns the wheel, so the axle would be the center of mass or near the navel area, and that's going to actually start the energy, and the energy will work its way out from the center and radiate out to the fingertips and the toes. So that's what the first step is going to be. So once I've performed waggle, forward press, which is, I say and, waggle, and. First thing that's going to move, I'm going to start moving into my compound pivot. So I'm going to go and I'm going to perform the hip action like this. Now that's going to bring the club back. If I allow my torso to respond to my hips and start to wind, that's going to get the club just outside my little toe of my rear foot. My club's down in the perfect arc and the club face is square to that arc. So I've gotten a solid start already. Now that would be a 1 hour swing. If I wanted to keep going and wind up to the second hour of the takeaway, I'm now going to move my arm, my left arm across my chest. So here's one. Here comes my left arm across my chest to get the club to 2 o'clock. You'll notice now my elbow is now right on my midline in front of my belly. 1 and 2. So now the club is still on an arc. The face is still square to the arc. I'm left with just step 3. Notice that the handle of the club is right at my thigh here. This is only now when I'm going to start adding wrists and hand action and wind up the wrists. So it's set the body and 1 hour pivot, 2 hour arm, 3 hour wrist. This puts me at first parallel position. My club shaft will be pointing right at the target here, and I will have started the swing and be dominating the swing already with the big muscles of my shoulders and back and rear end. Setting the grip, step in. Okay, so right here I am establishing my left side, fitting the right side under, lift, waggle, and 1. So let me hit one more, then we'll slow this one down. You can see I'm doing waggle and 1, waggle and 1. So it ends up being kind of a little dance or a little waltz that you're going to be doing, which is really going to establish the rhythm that you need to be really reliable with your results. The great thing about developing a smooth takeaway is that you can really work on this at home. And I really recommend you work on this. So, 3 to 5 minutes a day is really all you need if you can really stick with it. Remember, if you're old enough, you remember a videotape called the 2-minute abs. Well, you could get really awesome shredded abs in 2 minutes a day, but yeah, you have to do it every single day for, 60 to 90 days. So get started today. Let me show you how you're going to get started. I would do this as I do a lot of drills with my rear end against a wall. So that you can just do in the living room or against the garage door, maybe at home. And again, you're just going to be going waggle. You can even practice the waggle 5 times. Then and. See how subtle that is? Then I'm going to go waggle and 1. So it would be waggle and 1. Waggle and 1. See, I'm just putting this club right where it needs to be to start the swing. First parallel, horizontal to the ground. And I still have the correct space between my thigh and the grip as I take it back. So my hands are also moving right in line with the turn of my body. So I've found over the years with a lot of different private clients that we can really tone down the size of their misses or how bad their worst shots are by getting them on really good rhythm and tempo. So what we're doing with this smooth one-piece takeaway, we're simply starting the music before you ever take the club back. The music's already going and you're already setting your body on a little musical dance. And that's allowing you to take the club back incredibly smoothly. And I think what you will tend to see as you work on this is you'll see, even if you do have a few, different flaws in your swing, idiosyncrasies, that you're going to see the size of the miss or the magnitude of the miss or the dispersion just kind of tighten up a little bit. And so maybe you'll start to eliminate the amount of double bogey swings you might make in a round. Bad swings where you kind of just spray it, those really odd ones. And just eliminating some of these is really the key to getting your score down, either under 90, under 80, or even under 70. It's still always the same key. It's not how many perfect shots we hit, it's how many really crummy shots we really hit or not. So I really encourage you to work on this at home, and I think it's going to be of great benefit. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll really get a lot of benefit out of this video. If you try it and you do, I hope you'll come back and leave a comment down below. Or just if you have any questions at all, I'd love to answer questions. Just leave those in the comments below. And thanks again to Golf Development Complex for this beautiful scenery. And hey, either I'll see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Take care.